Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Steve, I am He Who Knits, and today what we're going to talk about is a couple of previous projects that I worked on before I started the channel. Actually, I might have a couple of videos of this, but today's theme is sweaters. If you watched the previous two videos, or one of them, or whatever, then you know that I am currently working on a couple of sweater projects. So what I thought I would do is show you some of the things that I've done previously, just to give you an idea of what's coming up and kind of how everything works. So the very first sweater project I ever did was a kind of, I don't know if you'd call that a mock turtleneck or something, or just a rolled neck, but it's pretty much a basic ribbed sweater, as you can see here. This was my first sweater project, as I mentioned, and just so you know, I got this yarn. This is Big Good Wool from Pearl Soho, which is discontinued, unfortunately. I did grab up the last couple of hanks of this yarn in a different color for another project that's going to be coming up, so at least I saved that for this. Just to give you an idea, just to show you, it's got ribbed cuffs, it's got ribbing at the bottom, and overall I'm pretty happy with this, although looking at what I've done since then, I can tell that this was one of the beginning sweaters, but I still like it. It still smells amazingly like a sheep, and this is how it works. Not going to be trying things on modeling the sweaters, although on my Instagram page and Pinterest, which I believe are linked somewhere here, I do have pictures of me wearing the completed work, so if you want to see what it looks like on a human body, there you go. So from this angle, the collar kind of looks ugly, right? You pretty much finish the collar up, and then you knit an additional 17 rows or something like that. So it's really meant to kind of be rolled down, and that's the look that you're getting. It's not a V-neck, it's just straight crew neck across. So it's pretty much identical front and back, inside and out, all different ways. But that's it. So that's what the collar looks like, but it is super soft, super warm. I love this yarn. I wish it wasn't discontinued. I love it so much. Smells good. But anyway, there it is. I will have another Big Good Wool sweater coming up. I'm making a cardigan with it, but that will be in due time, probably sometime in the fall. All right, moving on. The next thing I did, I used to have this problem where I would just buy up huge bunches of yarn because I liked the way it looked or felt without really having any kind of project in mind, and I ended up with a lot of this bulky alpaca blend. So I decided to make use of it rather than just having it sit around, and I used pretty much the same exact pattern. Now I did go in and tinker around with the pattern a little bit because I had to. This was a different weight. This is bulky compared to that, more or less. Well, this is a super bulky, really, and the other one was a little bit less. So I adjusted the pattern. I did the best I could. I'm not a pro at that. I did some math. I relied heavily on a calculator. But what I ended up with was the same sweater pattern as that, except in, as you can see, all these colors. Started there at the bottom. We've got the dark blue, green, lighter blue, some black up here. Same thing on the sleeves. I tried to keep them pretty much the same. I didn't do that rolled collar on this one. I just did kind of a standard collar, as you can see. I wasn't really looking for that. So again, this I see as more of a sitting around watching football, relaxing, chilling, something that my boys can climb all over me in without me worrying that it's going to get messed up, because really kind of not really a tester sweater, but an early sweater. And you know, for what it is, I liked it. So my next project in the sweater line was actually a vest. So the first vest I did, and one or two videos back, I talked about the next upcoming vest project. It was that kind of purple and olive yarn. So my first vest project was similar in that it was a very multicolored yarn here as well. This is a simple, straightforward V-neck vest. And just to show you the colors close up, because they are pretty impressively cool. This is one yarn. It is by Patons. and I believe it's another discontinued yarn. I actually found a whole mess of this yarn in my mother-in-law's stash. She decided she was done with knitting. We're going to talk about her again in just a minute. But a whole stash of yarn there, and not enough to make a sweater, so I made the vest with it. But it's patents, it's Canadiana, and it's Canadiana colors. That's all I could find. Could not find any of this yarn anywhere else on the planet. But here it is. Look closely. You can see the coloring there. So I thought it was really cool. I made a vest, and you can see that the arms are kind of ribbed. The neck is ribbed, and then there's the back. But again, first vest, I really actually like the way this turned out a lot. I like the feel, I like the colors, and that is part of the reason that I chose this olive and purple yarn for my next vest, because I just thought that kind of a really bold mix is good for a vest. Next one gets cables, of course. This one is just pretty much standard. So here is hot off the needles, completely fresh, brand new, my latest completed project. It's a cardigan, my first cardigan. But we're going to give you the backstory here first. My mother-in-law, the great Stephanie Bird, decided that she would, in the early days of my marriage, she was going to knit a cardigan for me. And so she did. So this is what it looks like here. And the stitch is actually called broken rib, which means basically you're ribbing, but you're putting in an extra row of non-ribbing between each one. So the inside, the wrong side, looks like this. It looks pretty much like ribbing. And the right side, the outside that everybody sees, is this. So they almost look like little knots, little stars in there. Beautiful sweater. It's got this nice cowled neck. You can see that. Really great buttons. I'll show you the buttons. She picked some nice ones here. There you go. Awesome, fantastic, soft, warm, amazing, huge. I don't know if it was the yarn, or if maybe I'm a little bit smaller than it was first assumed. Either way, great sweater, but I've actually been wearing it as more of a house coat in the wintertime rather than throwing on a sweatshirt or something. I'll put this on. It's awesome. It's warm, soft. I love it. But it's not really something that I could wear out as a cardigan just because it was so big and it's really, really heavy. But in that yarn stash that I just mentioned that I got from my mother-in-law, in that stash, I found the pattern for this. And I thought, I wonder if I could remake this cardigan, maybe knock it down a couple sizes and see what happens. So kind of that was my challenge, and it's an older pattern. So unfortunately, of course, as we have mentioned before, the yarn has been discontinued. So I went on that yarn substitute website. Again, I'll link that here so you know. And I found a suitable replacement yarn, and I downsized because I felt like there's going to be a good amount of stretch and pull on this, and I wanted to make sure that it was going to fit. So all of those tools in hand, I set to work and I created my version of this broken rib cardigan. And here it is. And you can see that compared to the original, which was a gray, this one is kind of a smoky blue. Same features though. We have this cowled neck, and I know it's hard to show here on camera the full thing, but again, if you head over to my Instagram or my Pinterest page, you get to see the actual full cardigan on my body as a real live human model. But there it is, the same outside kind of knotty looking stitch. The inside, of course, you get this broken rib pattern. Same thing though, the sleeves came out still a little bit long. So if you are doing a pattern similar to this, if anybody comes searching for this exact pattern from me, I just will advise you that you probably want to shorten the sleeves up a little bit, because even though I followed the rest of it and everything else fits beautifully, the sleeves just came out a little long. No problem. I can roll those sleeves and feel good about it. Here's one of the tricky things that I had to first learn on this, making those buttonholes. Not terribly difficult once you get the stitch down. Again, I learned it on YouTube, found out how to do this stitch, and that's something that if you want to see a video of, we can certainly do that too. But I'll show you the buttons I picked out, kind of these bone style buttons, but I really like them, and they're a nice complement to this sweater. So that is my full kind of do-over version of this sweater. I love it. I still love the original. It's still going to be my house coat, but this is one that's a little bit more wearable in public for me, and so I will. If you've watched the previous videos, you've seen that I'm going to get started on another sweater and a vest, and following those, another cardigan. So a lot of sweaters in my future here this late summer, fall. Hopefully burn through a couple of those and get those done. So those are some more things that I'm working on right now. Hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, get the notifications, all that stuff that they tell you to do. That helps me kind of direct what I'm going to be talking about, stuff that you guys are all going to be interested in. And I do thank you very much for coming by. We'll have more videos coming up in the future pretty soon, I would imagine. I think next up we're going to talk about a recent yarn haul of mine from one of my favorite stores. So do check that one out, and I will see you later.